welcome to Cooking with Cori. I'm your host, Chef Cori Doern, and I'm also a proud media spokesperson for Foodland Ontario. Today I'm doing a wonderful, wonderful recipe. You're going to want to run to your computer and download this recipe because it's crazy delicious. I am making Jamaican-style shepherd's pie. Yes, you heard me, Jamaican-style shepherd's pie. So good. I'm not going to lie, I'm smelling the smells already, and they smell really, really good. This recipe has a lot of really wonderful Ontario product in it. I'm always saying, not just because I'm a proud media spokesperson for Foodland Ontario, but really wonderful food grows here in Ontario. You can taste the difference. For example, this recipe has some pureed garlic in it. The difference between garlic that comes from Ontario and from anywhere else, Ontario garlic is sticky, it's fragrant, your fingers are kind of tacked together when you're using it to, in this case, puree it. And the smell is so fragrant. One clove does the job as opposed to having to deal with like a bulb just to get the flavor that you want. I also have some beautiful Ontario mushrooms here. I've got some Ontario corn. And a great thing about Ontario corn is that when you get it in season, if you take your corn when it's in season and you actually cut it off the cob and then lay it out flat, freeze it, and then put it into a Ziploc bag, and then use it when you need it. It is so fantastic. The sweetness that comes off of Ontario corn, you just can't beat it. I also have some grated Ontario carrot right here for this recipe. And then some onion, and I'm going to tell you right now, this onion, I've done a fine dice on it. With any recipe, I mean, this recipe asks for chopped onion. It's really up to you. I say that this all the time, a recipe is a guideline. So if a recipe calls for big chunks of onion and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want big chunks of onion, guess what? Make the onion a little bit smaller. In this case, I'm going to do like a medium dice, maybe small to medium dice, because for shepherd's pie, I do like the little bits of onion in it and not necessarily big chunks, although it wouldn't take away from the flavor. Ontario onions, they only add flavor to any recipe. So for this onion, I've already cut half, as you can see here. The other half, I've kept the skin on as I peeled it back, and I've kept the root intact. And I'm going to use my paring knife just to cut how big a dice I want to use. And so because I said I'm going to use a medium dice for this, which means it's not going to be big chunks. It's going to be about the size of, how to describe it, maybe your pinky fingernail. And I'm going to use my chef knife, and then I'm going to cut it this way. So I have a nice little square. So pretty. There we go. And then you get to the end here, and then I'll chop, and then I'll chop. And now our onion is done, and look, very, very little waste. And for those of you who are thrifty and looking at your budget when you're shopping, keep your onion skin, because when you put that into a stock, it adds, like, let's say you're making chicken soup. There's a really great Ontario Foodland recipe for a chicken and leek soup. If you put your onion in and you keep the skin on, make sure you wash it, of course. It gives it such a beautiful flavor because this is intense onion, but it also adds to the color of the stock. It's just fantastic. So very minimal food waste. You saw that I got a really nice dice on this, and so I'm going to add this to my onion. And you can't have a shepherd's pie without your meat. For this shepherd's pie, we're going to use some ground beef. A lot of times people think shepherd and they think lamb. You can use lamb if you would like. For this, we're using Ontario beef, also known as a cottage pie to some folks. So I've got my one onion diced. I've got my one small container of white button mushrooms sliced. And again, when you slice them, we want to keep them as evenly sliced as possible. When you're cutting your vegetables, especially if you're using a variety of vegetables, you want to keep them as uniform as possible. I'm not saying grab a measuring, measuring stick or ruler and, making sure it's okay. But if you have something that's super thick and something that's super thin, it's just not going to cook evenly. Something might burn, something might, still be al dente, and it's not going to give you your desired result. So here I've got some sliced mushrooms, and I did the slicing. And then I've got my jerk blend. So to this we have some ground cumin, we have crushed red pepper flakes, I've got salt and cayenne pepper. I don't know if I need to kind of tip it up for you a bit so that you can see it. I've got nutmeg and cinnamon. And all of this together is going to make a beautiful Jamaican curry. You can't have that kind of flavor of jerk without having pimento, which is also known as allspice, because that really brings out the flavor in everything. So this recipe is going to be done in two parts. The first part is shepherd's pie. You need to have your Ontario potatoes, my friend. Russet potatoes are fantastic. Why wouldn't you use them? If you want to go rustic, then just really scrub these potatoes really well. You don't have to peel them. Or if you don't want to be rustic, peel your potatoes, but put them into the water so that they don't brown up on you. And then you're going to make your, boil your potato, rinse it off, like pour it off once it's fork tender, add your butter, add your milk, anything else that you enjoy, mash it all up, and you're ready to go with your beautiful mashed potato for your shepherd's pie. I like to be efficient in the kitchen, so whenever I'm cooking something, I would basically put the potatoes on first, get them going, and then I'm going to start with everything else. So in my skillet, I'm going to start with my Ontario ground beef. I'm going to saute that with my onions, because I'm not looking to caramelize them, and my garlic, and I'm going to cook it through until it's no longer pink. Once it's no longer pink, I'm then going to add my carrot and my corn and my mushroom. The mushroom, because there's liquid in the mushroom, it's going to make your mixture a little bit wet. So once you finish sauteing and it's all golden, brown and cooked and it looks fantastic, to help absorb that moisture a bit, you're going to add a little bit of your mashed potato to your finished product. And your finished product is going to look just like this. Yum! When they say good things grow in Ontario, they are not lying. Look at this goodness. My goodness. When you go to the Foodland Ontario website, you're going to see a bunch of different recipes, and there's always a great what's in season that you can look and see what's in season to motivate you to adapt your recipe any way you want. So into my little container, I'm going to add my beautiful ground beef with my carrot and my mushroom and the little bit of potato to hold it all together, which is fantastic. And layered it. For your recipe, you could do it individual and quarter your recipe, or you can, add more to it. And then I'm going to add my mash and just plop it on top, just like that. And then I'm going to bake it so that the potatoes are nice and golden. And what that's going to look like is this. How yummy does this look? This is an absolutely beautiful dish. I know that you'll enjoy serving it to your family and friends. Check out this recipe at foodlandontario.ca. Thanks for watching.